Hi, guys. Oh, my God, it's Ugly Bob! What the hell are you doing here?
Hello, this is going to be a little bit different from my latest reviews in that I want to tell you about a movie I just recently got to see. It's called King of Kong, subtitled The Fistful of Quarters. This movie was released in 2007, and I think it's pretty well known in the gaming community because of its surrounding events involving an attempt by a man named Steve Wiebe, not Weeb, to break Billy Mitchell's, a well-known video game player of the century, 25-plus year record in Donkey Kong, the original Donkey Kong arcade, 874,000 points, and it required this story. The documentary tells of Steve's quest to get recognition from Twin Galaxies and face down Billy Mitchell in a live competition and all the trials and tribulations he encounters along the way. In that, it's kind of similar to the Rocky story, right down to the music they use in the movie. And the Rocky similarity is because at the beginning of the movie, Steve Wiebe is laid off from Boeing, where he worked as something doing sulfur, I believe. Never mind. Anyway, in about 2004, when he was working over the period of a year to get certification in Washington to teach high school science and math, simply because he heard that's where the jobs were. He had repurchased an old favorite of his, the Donkey Kong arcade cabinet, and using the math and engineering skills that he was studying, he learned how to recognize some new patterns in the game that he believed would allow him to beat Billy Mitchell's 874,000 total. He had books to use that would offer some tips, and then using like lines he would draw on the screen, which you can see from the movie, figure out the best way to score points and achieve the maximum number possible. And through lots and lots of practice, he's eventually able to do it. I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, so I'll just stop there with the basic synopsis, and I recommend anyone else to view it, to see the whole story, because I don't want to give it all away. Moving on. This movie is a source of some controversy, where you really wouldn't expect a documentary about video game arcades and video game record setting. You know, it's a variety of subjects, really. It covers a whole bunch of different ones. You wouldn't expect it to be controversial because of the ever-present marginalization of video games in our society. You know, they're for kids. Oh, that was back in the 80s. They caused violence, blah, 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 blah. But, I remember hearing about it before the movie actually came out. Like, you know, don't trust the movie completely. It almost felt like a Michael Moore movie or something like that. And upon viewing it, I definitely got a vibe from it. You know, you can read more about it online. People have, let's say, disparaging things to say about Billy Mitchell based on what they saw in the movie. Now, naturally, it's just not my tendency to go like, oh yeah, this movie must be telling the truth. So afterwards, I checked all the sources to find out what was true. And the best sources for that are Walter Day's postings on Twin Galaxies to explain what the movie does and doesn't talk about. The most troubling aspect, besides the way the movie is slanted, seemingly, is that Seth Gordon really doesn't have any kind of rebuttal to the assertions that Walter Day makes about the movie. You know, the visit by Brian Kuhn or his associates to Steve Wiebe's house in Redmond, Washington, the association he has with Schilt, Mr. Awesome. Seth Gordon really doesn't have anything to say about this. So, based on viewing the movie and then what Walter Day has to say, especially because he fact-checks himself and he repeatedly says that, to the best of his knowledge, Walter Day really seems like an upstanding gentleman. Like, it works based on his memory. He's not trying to say, yes, this is the absolute truth. It seems like he goes above and beyond what Seth Gordon's willing to do. So, based on this, I say take the movie with a grain of salt and do as I did. Read online, find out the various facts, because Billy Mitchell really does not seem at all, based on what this movie does not seem to be at all what this movie suggested to be. It seems his sole beef with Steve Wiebe is his association with Mr. Awesome Schilt, and the movie unfortunately does in not discussing it as far as they could. It creates an undue emphasis on hostility that apparently never really existed between these two men, Billy Mitchell and Steve Wiebe. The best is to get an interesting view of the almost camaraderie they have. You should read about an earlier interview they had in 2004, and I'll post all the links at the end of this review just so you can look into it like I did. So overall, I definitely recommend this movie/documentary to video game fans and even anyone looking for a quirky little story. I think Roger Ebert said it best in his reviews that it's one of the strangest documentaries he's ever seen, or something to that effect, because, as I said earlier, wouldn't expect to be so much passion involved. But as Billy Mitchell put it, whenever you're going for something, it always involves obsession, because it always takes a degree of obsessive behavior and talent to be able to achieve such goals. And with obsession comes all the other negative or negatively slanted emotions that can lead to situations like this. Anyway, it definitely shows that there is a culture of, not just outside the video game culture, there's a culture of these very hardcore game players whose sole goal it is to set higher records all the time, and the fun they have in doing it. Check this movie out. I think you'll enjoy it.